Yeah. So
No, Yugandhar, I think Lohit will introduce you first, and
yes,
then
yes, yes.
Yeah. So, Professor Ganesh, would you want to make a beginning?
yes.
Yeah.
So good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, Mr. Yugandhar. First of all, thanks a lot for accepting our invitation. I know this has been a very hectic year for you, and your startup being one of the promising startups with you're in the initial stages where you have to do a lot of things to establish. Um with all these busy schedule, you have accepted to come, and we are very grateful for your presence here. So
Thank you, Dr.
this
Ganesh.
yeah. So this series of talks are arranged by our department, Entrepreneurship and Management, and this is our second talk. The objective of the talk is to bring entrepreneurs who are in different stages of their life and also in terms of their startup venture, so that our students will get both inspiration as well as knowledge about the whole idea of entrepreneurship and how to go about it. So we have a minor in entrepreneurship program where BTech students undergo certain number of courses to get a minor, and also this year we have started something called dual degree MTech in techno entrepreneurship. So
Okay.
these students are some of the participants or audiences of this talk. Apart from that, this talk is open to the entire IIT Hyderabad community. So I hope your talk will inspire them and motivate them to take up entrepreneurship as a career choice. Okay, so
I
over to
hope
you.
so.
Yeah. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
Lohit,
Yeah.
you can take over.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Ganesh, and thank you, Mr. Yugandhar, for accepting to speak. So I'll just begin with a brief introduction of yours for all our participants. So, dear participants, I welcome you all to our second lecture as part of the entrepreneurship lecture series organized by Department of Entrepreneurship and Management at IIT Hyderabad. So today we have Mr. Yugandhar Penubolu, who is a founder and CEO of Winzard Solutions Private Limited, and is also founder of Badi, Soch Innovations Private Limited. Uh, as he has also authored a book called The Transformational Lens, which is basically a people and performance management book. So he has also has had a wide experience of working in ex-banking sectors, non-banking financial company, broadband professional. He has been in the broadband sector for more than 20 years. He has worked with companies like CTGE, Standard Chartered, and Barclays. So he has been part of the leadership team, part of the launching team, part of the product teams with companies such as Act Fiber and India Bulls. He has also been as an advisor on international assignments for Barclays Egypt and UAE. Ex-consultant. He has also been as an ex-consultant with Serco, and has been a mentor on platforms like IndieWise. So his wide experience in entrepreneurship activity and being as a leader in several large organizations, we invite him to speak in this second lecture and enlighten all the students and faculty on his experience. And before I hand over the stage, I that he has been featured in several articles on Forbes, Hindustan Times, ANI, Business Standard. So, with this introduction of brief introduction of Mr. Yugandhar, I would like to hand over the stage to you and welcome you to share your experience to all of us.
Uh,
Sure. Thank you, Lohit,
Yeah,
Dr. Lohit.
yeah,
Yes, Dr. Ganesh, you were saying something.
Yeah. So one more information, Mr. Yugandhar and this organization, we have been partnering with him through IIT Hyderabad. Also, we have done a program for executives, middle level and top level executives on people management. So,
okay,
so we have done programs together as well.
Yeah,
okay.
yes, yes. I will be talking about that as well, Dr. Ganesh.
Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ganesh and Dr. Lohit. I want to thank you all for this opportunity, first of all. So, not just for IIT and the students and the faculty, even to entrepreneurs like us, these are, opportunities for us to showcase what we're doing and feel good about what we do. As you mentioned, we are entrepreneurs are those who have a background in either in with an experience or with a vision or an idea. So from there we take it ahead. So today I'm just going to talk about my journey and a few key takeaways that are there in my journey. And I'm going to skip most of the past and only focus on the last 2 years, which is those 2 years of the time that I spent for the startups, Winzard as well as Badi Soch. Winzard being 18 months into 18 to 20 months since inception, and Badi Soch is not even a year old. I'm going to talk about these two and how my entrepreneurship journey started and what inspired me, what are the key takeaways, and how I went about it. So we'll structure the session as the next 45 minutes, me taking ahead on my journey as well as the key takeaways, and then approximately 20 minutes or so, I'll be happy to take some questions as well as suggestions. Okay, so there are two companies that I am part of now, and I'm the founder of both these companies. I have co-founders in both the companies. Winzard Solutions Private Limited is a company which we founded in November 2019. It's a B2B space. It's a SaaS platform, and I started this company with Anand Joseph, who's also a classmate of mine since second class. We have been in touch regularly. We've been meeting each other. We've discussed various opportunities through the years for the last 10, 15 years. And finally, we started Winzard with the focus on empowering employees, enabling leaders, and enhancing organizational capability with the organizations where we work with. Okay, Winzard, as I told you, is a SaaS platform, and basically we have a few modules: the performance management module, the talent development module, a learning management module, and an employee experience module. Okay, these are then having sub modules, and we basically sell the subscription to organizations. They subscribe to it, and their users use these modules to ensure that their capability as well as organizational capability is taken to the next level. Winzard was recognized as a promising startup, as Dr. Ganesh had mentioned, by Indian Achievers Forum, and it's these are the things that which keep us kicking, keep us into the foray, very confident about the way we are going ahead, investing time, money as well as effort. Okay, investing into teams, investing into self, and investing into the organizations that we work with. Badi Soch is the second company that I founded with Mansi Dio and Tina Dilip Kumar. This is a B2C venture, and it was founded in October 2020. Okay, and this focuses on especially teens for enhancing the creative expression of teens. Okay, our first product, www.jappies.com, will be launched in December this year, and it will host various modules like blogging, essay writing, story, comic writing, publishing, and many other modules that I will talk about, like invitations, postcards, things like that, where kids during pandemic found missing because in the landscape of the digital world, since they lacked digital media developed for them, and the pandemic actually forced this to happen for kids. So there are a few things that I want to talk about, and I actually put down 10 commandments that worked for me, and I'm sure it works for most people when they start thinking about entrepreneurship and how to go about entrepreneurship. The first and foremost is, and I think it's a very important one, is passion and leading to creative confidence. Okay, so basically, without passion, the engine really doesn't move. We as entrepreneurs need to have passion to to make a difference, to make ourselves heard, to create something, and the confidence that goes with it is important. Like if you actually see, there is a talk on creative confidence. You'll find it on Dr. Albert. He speaks about as children if you're deprived of creative confidence, that if you're, like, for example, 8 or 10 years old, and at that stage, if people tell us that whatever we are creating is not good, then that is going to make stifle our progression. It will stifle our mindset. And it's important that we keep that creative confidence alive, and we keep thriving with the creative confidence that we have within ourselves. So a lot of times we create stuff, and because we fear judgment, we stop creating further. Therefore, it is important that we keep that confidence alive. We keep pushing ourselves, testing the limits within our ourselves, and empowering others to ensure that we come out with great products. The most important second aspect is open mind. It's an opportunity that is there always in front of you. There are so many opportunities that are there. An open mind is one which will facilitate grasping that opportunity, understanding opportunities that are there in front of you. And during this presentation, during this talk, you will realize that how opportunities come and how I have grasped or grabbed those opportunities, because I was with an open mind during this period. The vision that a person actually has, an entrepreneur, is the outcome of and it has to be an outcome for others and me as well. So whenever you have a vision, it's important that you think about what it is for you, and it is what it results in for others as well. A vision which is only focused on what you make will has a very high chance that it will not fail, because in the world outside, what counts for others and what benefits others will ensure that it benefits you. Okay, another commandment that is very important is the idea that you have. It has to be presented with a few close people in your network. It's important that you find those confidants and mentors where you can actually present your idea and seek counsel. The reason why a lot of people actually fear sharing their ideas, but then what happens is, speaking about ideas and taking counsel will give a lot of shape to your own idea, give you that confidence as well to take it ahead. This is a very important point. I met a lot of entrepreneurs who have ideas, but they don't share those ideas, and then those ideas get lost into because of the lack of confidence that they have in their plan. Okay, the concepts that are there, the idea results into a concept, right? So you create some concepts and all that. Whenever you're creating these concepts, very important that you keep in mind that the concepts result into easy and intuitive designs. When I mean easy and intuitive designs, it should be easy to use for the users, for the audience, and also it should be intuitive. That means whatever you do has to have the next step thought through in this step itself. So people should be able to move to the next step as a naturally in the design. Okay, the next step is planning, and I've actually used this in a stepwise format, and these are the 10 commandments that really worked for me. It's important that people not only have developmental short-term and long-term plans, but also financial short-term and long-term plans made. So even before you start investing into your venture and your idea, it's very important that you put down this blueprint of the plan. Okay, and the plan has to be covering short-term as well as long-term. Typically, short-term being the year and long-term being a 3 to 4 year horizon. Okay, and you have to think about the developmental aspect, which is the product development, idea development, concept development, and apart from that, the financial aspect as to how this development would be sourced. Many people are either too conservative in this planning, or they are very aggressive. That means you may have thought about financial aspects to development, supporting your development aspects for just 6 months. This is fine. You may have finances for the next 6 months, but it is important that you have a plan of how those finances will be raised for the at least for a 2 year horizon. Okay, so things like you'll have mentoring platforms who will support you. You have seed investors who are there. You have HNIs who are there. So, for example, you do not want your idea to go out in the open, and you're not confident that this is a great story to begin with itself, and you think it's going to be a long-term story, then you can look at friends and family, you can look at HNIs, okay, one or two people that can support you. You can look at angel investors. So there are during the planning stage, there is at the idea stage, there is stage which is the growth stage, and there is a run stage. So these three stages, I mean, I have put my own stages in here. So at each stage, we'll have to figure out how this development activity is, where it is, and also the financial plan against each of these stages. It's important that you invest into a team. Okay, a lot of young aspiring entrepreneurs get scared of investing into a team because it means that you'll have to either invest too much time into the team, or you have to put in a lot of capital or money into those teams as form as maybe contractual financial commitments, or even salaries. Okay, but it is important that you are mindful but still invest in a team. Okay, because collaboration is a very important aspect, and your decisions have to move into reality very quickly. So a team gives you not just ideas, not just gives more steps to your idea, but also ensures that there is a lot of collaboration that will come into play, more legs to run, and faster delivery. Okay, so it is important that you invest into a team. It is important that you think when the team has to be formed, how many people, what are the kind of teams that you're looking for. So judicially, that kind of planning has to go into it. And it's very important that you have a plan for guided mastery. So when I mean guided mastery, there is a step-by-step method to guide the team. Okay, and that step-by-step method has to be put in place. Well, how are you going to guide this team? How is that collaboration going to take place? What is the expectations you will set? How are you going to empower your team? How is self-efficacy going to get created within teams automatically? And what are the steps you will take? Okay, like for example, how will you expect, from what are the expectations you will set for yourself? How will you manage yourself while managing those teams? These are the things that you have to think about. Okay, when you are empowering your team, you are building a team. Okay, very important aspect at this stage, and I learned it myself, is not to instill fear within the people you work with, because then people do not enjoy their work. Also, they stop innovating, they stop thinking creatively. So do not instill fear in the people that you work with. In fact, make people part of the journey, give them parts of this journey, let everybody come to know what is the progress of this journey that you are together. And very important aspect is to celebrate success together. You don't need to spend crazy amount of money for celebrating that success. Even a small recognition, a word here and there, okay, and a huddle where you can mention about how your team has done well, how everybody together have achieved, what are the achievements. For example, the startup has reached a particular milestone and we have done this together, how each person has contributed. Those kind of things are very important. So it's important that you celebrate success together. Finally, accountability. If the team is accountable to what they do, every employee, including yourself, is accountable to what you do, okay, then there is a high chance that we will be very successful. And what does accountability mean? Accountability means trusting each other, action by each other, conflicting with each other, and the result that comes out. Okay, to me, accountability involves all four of them. Okay, you trust, you act individually together, and you also conflict with each other. Healthy conflict is important. If an organization, if a team stops talking to each other, stops conflicting, stops arguing, discussing about why this is good or bad, if you do not conflict my opinion versus your opinion healthily, then the opportunity for innovation actually goes out of the window. Okay, the result is very important. Again, results should be showcased, people should be held accountable for results, and people should be celebrating those results. Okay, these are the 10 commandments that really worked for me, and I'm very confident it will work. If people follow these 10 commandments, it will work for many others as well. I'm going to take one a minute of break, and maybe Dr. Ganesh could talk about one or two aspects here, and then make comments, and then we can go ahead.
In fact, I offer a course called HR and Leadership for Startups. So, in fact, all these things which I talk to my students, especially having conflict, as team, we believe that everybody should agree to each other, which is not necessarily true. People should disagree in the team as well. If there is no disagreement in the team, then it means there is something wrong with the team. Then it means people are pleasing each other. They are not actually, moving towards efficiency or the excellence. Yeah. So conflict is very important. Exactly.
Thank you, Dr. Ganesh. Is the speed okay for everybody, Dr. Ganesh? Does it seem that the speed is fine?
Yes, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
fine.
Thank you. So moving ahead, now I'm going to, while I spoke to you about briefly about my 10 commandments and how it worked for me, I'm going to now start talking about how it all started, the entrepreneurship started, and how that led to vision, the things that we spoke, those 10 commandments, how that actually happened. So my calling that led to my vision started with an executive course leadership course that I did in London Business School in the year 2018 while I was working, and I discovered in that period of 5 or 6 days that I was sitting in a class with Professor Daniel M. Cable and Professor Herminia Ibarra, that my calling for entrepreneurship just grew to the next level in that class. And I realized that really I was here to realize my calling. And that calling was people management and performance management. And it was just not that. I actually wanted to empower people through people management and performance management. So the higher story was empowering people and using creative confidence. So if you see, the title of our session today is fueling empowerment and creative expression. This title is really what actually happened to me during that session in London Business School. So I think it was just a calling. It happened just then. And the second thing that really worked and actually fueled this calling finally in 2018 was, I think, some of the leadership roles that I played with Barclays and Act 5 in it. And there were a lot of insights that I derived, especially leadership challenges, employee experience, the engagement of people, whether it is internal engagement, external engagement. And I found that there was so much of lacuna, so much of need for analytics, analysis, to manage the operations that we were in and to manage the people we're in. So over a period of time, HR tech, whether you talk about HR tech, people tech, or you talk about ERP or process engineering, and then leading to AI and machine learning, there is so much that has happened over the last 5-6 years. And in the last 2 years especially, even more accentuated. These are the things that are a result of some of us thinking actually as to what are the challenges and how that need can be filled. So just like that, this was also certain things that actually fed into my calling. And there were enriching interactions I did with many entrepreneurs, like I spoke about in the year 2019 beginning. I actually spoke with entrepreneurs. I actively listened to a lot of them, to their exciting growth journeys, growth stories, the challenges that they faced, and I understood what is the real need for in the market, in the MSME space especially, because I spoke with a lot of people, and I found that the MSME space did not use a lot of management principles. A lot of them actually were ground up entrepreneurs. They were doing fantastically well, but a few aspects that could transform the landscape completely and give them great results. That is what is the need. And so therefore I found that there was a need for transformation in the way MSMEs were managed. And that resulted into my book, The Transformational Lens. It's available on Amazon.in, Amazon.co, Amazon.com, UK, and Kindle, Flipkart, Notion Press. I published this in 2020, August. And this basically, I used the pandemic to write this book more. And this book was talking about people and performance management. Okay. And especially targeting managers, aspiring, and young entrepreneurs. Okay. And I spoke about the building blocks that are required for an organization, um, an entrepreneurship, a startup. What is the transformation that is required? What are the performance and talent that is needed for an organization in terms of people? How an entrepreneur has to manage self, how is the leader supposed to manage self while managing the teams, and what are the workforce synergies that come to play, and how that can be, working for an organization, for the entrepreneur, instead of against the organization and against the entrepreneur's vision. So very important that workforce synergies actually work for the organization. That makes it very easy. So whether you talk about workforce well-being, workforce engagement, workforce networking, or even workforce feedback. So if all of that is like happening at regular intervals and that's being monitored, managed, then an organization makes it to the next level very easily. Okay, so this is how the book happened, and the book happened out of my calling vision for the SMEs, and then the book happened, and then what happened was I actually wanted this book to transfer into a digital product. Okay, initially I started only with performance development, and then I realized that there is so much more that I wanted to say, so much more that my co-founder and me thought was available to be said, to be done, to be built. And we plunged into this story of building a SaaS platform. Okay, and that's how in the month 2019 November we registered this company called Winzard Solutions Private Limited, and we conceptualized for the next 3 months. We worked on the idea, going into a concept. Okay, then we jumped into making the blueprint, the UI and UX designs. All of this without a team. We worked on it ourselves. So that took 3 months. Okay, after that the product was launched a year later. Okay, so we started development after that, after 3 months. So in the month of February we started development. So if you can see here the Winzard roadmap. So October 19 we started talking. Till January we were actually into vision building, detailing our opportunity, idea into design, the scope of the plan. We did all of that. So I'm assuming that most entrepreneurs, most aspiring people like you who actually want to become entrepreneurs or are looking for inspiration, this is some kind of a roadmap for you all. So the scope and plan. So this entire thing took 3 months for us. It could take longer, and that doesn't mean that the scope and plan froze over there and it didn't change. But we actually, to start with, this is how we did it. And while the building of the product started, initial designs, the team, the development, as well as the branding and marketing, all of that happened in the next 1 year, which is March 2020 to March 2021. Even while this was happening, obviously our plan, scope, and idea took a more robust shape. Okay, and then April 2021 is when we launched our product, the MVP, and by May we launched it with at least 8-10 companies. By 3 companies, and then by August we had 10 companies using our product. Okay, and now we are building on our sales team. So effectively, in less than a year, in less than one year and 10 months, we moved all the way from vision building to, and by February from March to March we built the product, and then we got into sales. While I'm saying this, we are building further products and accentuating the current products as well. So while all of that is done, it's important. The takeaway here is that people who are looking at who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs and who want to build, a product or an organization, there are multiple things that you will do parallelly. And however, there are certain milestones that you have to put for yourself, and these milestones have to be, you have to work towards these milestones. And personally, you couldn't do it yourself. You'll have to have a collaborative effort. The team has to come into play. The people that you work with, there is regular communication that has to happen, regular to and fro as Dr. Ganesh said, those discussions, conflicts are important, and that's how a good product comes out. Otherwise, what happens is, if it's only your idea, there's a good chance that you're so enamored with it, so carried away with it, that you build something which is not suitable for everybody. It's important that there's a collaborative effort. Some of the key focus areas are now, and the observation why the opportunity, how I saw the opportunity. I saw that employees' natural inclination was to seek, okay, and the organization's natural inclination to gain control over all employees. So, but that doesn't work together. So, to learn, to seek, to explore is the natural, inclination of an employee. And if organization is controlling them so much, or making them accountable every hour, then that much exploration is not possible. So it is important that people realize that there is an imbalance between seeking and accountability. Okay, and what is the reason why employees then given to the organization control, and that imbalance is there, is because the employees feel that if they seem like they're out of control, or seem like they're only creative and not achieving every hour or every day, the organization may ask them to leave, or the organization may put them on the bench. So because of that, the organization's natural ability to seek actually loses in front of the organization's control, and therefore the imbalance between seeking and accountability is there. And also the other aspect that I saw was that there were lack of insights to both employee and the organization. So while the organization is progressing, the insights that are required for the employee to progress, and the insights that are required for the organization about the employees to progress, is not available currently. And that's how the opportunity that I saw has come to play. So work planning by employee gave that opportunity. So we thought that we have to create a product where there is work planning done by the employee, and this work planning can be done on our platform and given, and against the goals that the organization gives to the employees. So this work planning is a method to actually accentuate their creativity and put their creativity into play. And this is how innovations also can come into play. This also, our platform gives the opportunity for employees to raise challenges and seek support. Most of the performance management systems today that you see do not talk about the problems that the people face, but they talk about goal setting and then how those goals are assessed. It is important that a platform actually gave that opportunity to employees to seek support and talk about challenges, and that's how things fast track to a large extent. So talent review recommendations to leaders is out of that, in which we spoke about lack of insights. We decided that our product will actually give recommendations to the leaders on how the talent looks in the organization, what are the different aspects of a talent, dimensions of a talent in an organization. Okay, we wanted appraisal to be automated to a large extent, so that the recency effect is not coming to play. People don't get carried away by what people did only in the last 2 months, but the entire year, how it has worked. So if it is automated, it takes information from through the year and gets into an automated format. And we've also figured that workforce experience is a very important aspect, and it has to be built into a platform where people with this platform giving enough insights to both employee and organization, the experience of the workforce is at next level, and people are not worried about being satisfied, but they actually start talking about becoming loyal with the organization. And because the experience is so good, they also start advocating about the organization, telling the other people to join the organization. So if organizations work towards improving the workforce experience, it becomes a magnet instead of an organization where attrition is taking place. Okay, then I just want to speak about the second venture here, which we started in the year 2020 October. So it's going to be a year in another month or two. And this company is called Badi Soch Innovations Private Limited. And this is an absolute baby of the pandemic. Okay. So the impact of the pandemic and what happened to, homes was the inspiration for me to actually come up with the concept of Badi Soch. So the observation that I had seen, I mean, I've just put those into 4 points for lack of time and making sure this session is not boring. The pandemic forced children and teens to stay at home 24/7, especially from March to something like July in the year 2020. The digital world was not made for children and teens. Okay, for example, there were not enough tools for children and teens because children were not given these tools by parents. Okay, like for example, a laptop was not given to a 8-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old. Okay, only after 15 were the fact that children were given laptops. If you saw, I mean, I'm talking about the larger group of people, not just one or two people out of 100. But I'm talking about 80% of the people, okay, not having access to a laptop till they were 15. Parents looked for opportunities for, and also during the pandemic, parents looked for opportunities, and options to keep the children occupied. Very positively proactive methods were, search the amount of search that happened for good products in the market, in the market, whether on online, was crazy. Okay, and the schools moved online from July last year, and this movement from offline to online forced children to start using technology and internet based devices like laptops and tabs. This is something that happened till July. And my inspiration actually came up because I had my own daughter who's 10-year-old, and she was looking for these options online, saying that I'm sitting at home, I'm not allowed to go meet people. And there was so much that I mean, and I bought a laptop for my daughter who was not allowed to use a laptop till then. And then my daughter was simply going through TikTok and YouTube and all that, and playing a few games, but eventually was getting bored and looking for more aspects that would have kept her interesting, involved in. And I saw that my child actually, and her friends as well, were actually looking for creative platforms. Okay, and that's how the birth of Jappies took place. Jappies.com, which is the first product brand of Badi Soch. It's a B2C creative app, a SaaS platform for blogging, story writing, comic writing, journaling, essay writing, newspaper, making newsletters, and it's a very kid-friendly in-house publishing facility that we have developed. And we will be launching this in the month of December 21. We've already started UAT for both blogging as well as journaling and essay writing. Okay, so this was what came out of the pandemic, really. So I want to talk about the fact that how keeping an open mind, I spoke about before, it leads to innovation, leads to opportunity grabbing. Okay, and I'll tell you very frankly, when I speak to 20 people, and ask them that, and I actually gauge and ask them few questions and gauge how open they are, I see that 15 to 20 or 15 to 18 of the 20 do not really have an open mind to looking at the things in front of you as an opportunity. So the pandemic is an opportunity. The number of people who actually looked very creatively at the pandemic and came out with products to solve the problems of the pandemic, to solve the problems that people needed, and also made a quick buck. And many of these stories are long lasting. For example, now that you bought a laptop for your child, it's not going to be that your child will not use laptops anymore now that the pandemic ends. It will continue. Okay, and a habit is here to stay. Okay, the most important aspect, which again I'm going back to the 10 commandments, is your idea has to become a vision, and your passion and your whatever is in your mind, what you want to achieve, has to become a vision. And that will happen when you are open to various opportunities that are there in front of you. And you have to be the mindset has to be that there is so much that you can achieve, and there's so much that you can create, there's so much that you can see, and and the most important thing above that is the confidence that you have in yourself to make that happen. And let me be very frank, most people have the creative confidence. It's either buried in because people have started believing that they're judged, or they feel that, I may not be able to come up with a result, and I may not get successful. But I think most people really have the creative confidence in them. It's all about ensuring that you take the right mentorship, you express it to people, you build your design, you get the right team in place, you plan well, and you do not, you do, and you expect, and you set expectations for the people around you and yourself, and make sure, action is in the right direction, and you get the result. So today's session is all about the 10 commandments that worked for me, and the journey that I took in these two organizations, and the 2 years of mine, a little less than 2 years of mine, where I started these two organizations with friends of mine, and how this has shaped into, actually building the vision, to building the product, to building the company, to sales, and now we are in the growth stage of an organization. Now, I'm not speaking too much about funding. I'm not speaking too much about the problems that I'm going to face in the future. But as it rightly, it's today's session is all about getting aspired, understanding the journey of an entrepreneur, at least in the beginning. So thank you very much. And all those people who are aspiring to become entrepreneurs, and all those people who are thinking about entrepreneurship and what entrepreneurship really means, I have tried to give a very real, flow of how an entrepreneur's life has been in the first 2 years of the entrepreneur. Thank you. So over to you, Dr. Ganesh, and then we will maybe take some questions also later.
Yeah. So I think we should take questions, and then probably I will summarize and.
Yes.
Somebody's asking a question in the chat.
Yeah, I have not been seeing the chat. I'm sorry.
So, yeah, how you decided the name of startup as Jappies?
Okay, so the name of the startup is not Jappies. The name of the startup is Badi Soch. Jappies is basically, it started with the fact that during the pandemic, people lacked, were really looking for those hugs. Okay, wanted to hug each other. The desperation for meeting people, the desperation for knowing people, the desperation to get together, play, and hug each other went up to the next level last year. And that's how the lack of hugs, and therefore it was actually supposed to be JHAPPIZ instead of JA, but unfortunately we removed H because it was not really very catchy. Okay, so Jappies, that's the logic behind Jappies, nothing more than that. So Jappies is nothing but hugs. Hindi for hugs.
I completely understand. Especially children, they were missing physical contact.
Yeah.
During this lockdown, children went crazy because they are not able to play and touch. Virtual medium was too much for them to handle.
Yeah. So I also want to tell about the course that we did, Dr. Ganesh.
Yes.
So for the people who are attending this session, the course that we did with IIT, and I'm very grateful to Dr. Ganesh and the team at IIT that they did this course with us. We collaborated and started a course on leadership skills, and we had people like the CEO of KFC for India, ex-MD of Accenture and ENY partner in ENY, CEO of Humex, and the CPO of Act Fibernet, myself, Dr. Ganesh. We all got together, and these people joined us in Dr. Ganesh and IIT and Winzard's agenda to make sure leadership skills are really put out there. We got around 35 participants from all over the world. We had participants from the US, France. We had participants from India, companies like BNP Paribas, and people from all, manager and above. Those are the kind of people that we had targeted at that stage. And this was a very fruitful collaboration we had with IIT. It was a 6-day workshop run on performance management. It involved things like engagement. It involves things like emotional intelligence, performance management, performance assessment, competency management, and networking, which are the 6 big aspects that actually contribute to leadership success. Okay, and these are the things that we actually covered in our leadership skills workshop. And we had, as I told you, a fairly large audience, and it went successful. We actually had very good reviews. We got a 4.4 rating on a 5 as feedback, and it was a very interesting session. Sorry, the program that we ran. Also, I want to tell you that I'm not saying that it's a great story or a bad story, but it's a story that it makes me feel good. So from now March 2009, from March 2020, okay, when I started writing the book, to then later on the product, later on the program that we ran, multiple other programs that we ran, to the kind of advice that Dr. Ganesh had given us, to some of the aspects that we've built together with IIT, and some of the other aspects that we've done at Winzard and Jappies. It just gives me so much of gratification that we can actually build so much within a span of 2 years. And believe me, I'm still a binge watcher on Netflix, binge watcher on Hotstar. I and my co-founder, both of us, have a very decent social life, and we still do a lot of things in spite of the fact that we've been actively busy, whether it is writing a book, to launching this company and launching another company, doing some programs, trainings, a lot of things. So it is very much possible for you to balance your life out. It's just that making sure that you start making those 10 commandments really count, and plan your day, and plan your week, and plan your month, and plan your year ahead. Okay, and you can keep changing those plans, but having a plan is really helpful. Okay, so those are the things that I think I wanted to mention as well. Yeah, there is another question that somebody asked separately now, is that what constitutes to a great team in an entrepreneurship. So I just want to tell you all that there is nothing that contributes to a great team, as long as there is something called as Rangabhumi and Ranabhumi. If you read a book called Business Sutra by Dr. Patnaik, okay, and you will see that he very, very well illustrated about how an office can be a Rangabhumi or a Ranabhumi. So Ranabhumi is one which is like a battlefield, and a Rangabhumi is one which is like a festive field, okay, which works together very well. Okay, so it is how you as a leader, as I told you, empowerment, creative confidence within people, and making sure there is healthy conflict and collaboration. That is what actually constitute how the workplace actually starts to synergize and starts to work with each other, keeping well-being, engagement, as well as networking as 3 components that build the workplace positively. So if as a leader you start working on these 3 aspects, and by meaning of working, I'm more inclined towards saying that, first of all, to understand what these 3 aspects are. Well-being. What is well-being? What it means to you and the organization. What it means to have engagement in an organization. What it means to be a strategically networked organization. So to understand these 3 aspects itself is the first start. So when you start a team, you need, even if it's a small team of 10 people, okay, it's important that these 3 aspects are there. Okay, and a lot goes from expectation setting to creating the environment, assessing the environment, and then finally making those action plans to ensure that whatever is not working after assessment starts to work. So, and this is how the experience in an organization changes from a leader's point of view, and how a leader can actually influence. This works even in a classroom, by the way. As a person who's basically a prefect or a monitor in a class, there are people who you see that are completely clueless, and the class is like going haywire. and there are classrooms where a monitor is really able to influence people. So influence has to, the steps of influence is to understand what people want in terms of their experience in the class, and how this person is able to influence in terms of assessing people, and then talking the right stuff. That's how the classroom itself starts to become a better managed classroom. It works with teachers as well, not just monitors and prefects. A lot of teachers, you see them as being a very good influence in people's lives. So that and that influence has a lot to do with these 3 4 aspects which I spoke about. To understand your classroom, to understand your students, assess your students, needs based assessment, and then taking those action steps and making those course corrections with self and with a few, to ensure that lot of people that in front of you actually start working for the betterment of the organization, betterment of the classroom. So, in fact, if you see today, within teams, you see influencers working very well. So, people in large organizations, okay, in a call center, people make sure that they assess who are those influencers, who are those listeners, who are those people who are the troublemakers, and then accordingly they design who's the seating arrangement of a call center. You will notice that influencers are kept distributed in every corner of the call center, so that even though they are just talking on a call, the sheer fact that an influencer, a person who is active and influencing, can influence positively that entire group around that person. So that's how a leader actually makes sure that uses the resources being in the same old team: influencers, listeners, and people troublemakers. So how you distribute that, and how you engage with those people, how you make people engage, that builds synergy and growth in an organization. I hope I was clear in what I wanted to communicate.
It was very
Anything else,
thoughtful.
Dr. Ganesh, that you think we
It was
missed?
very thoughtful. In fact, you mentioned about how to use troublemakers also. We trouble, they all have energy. Even
Yeah,
the negative energy should be harnessed. If you're able to do that, then it is like wonderful. That is what is synergy.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Any questions coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Surya,
please, Surya, go ahead.
Okay. I guess firstly, thanks for the talk. Uh, so
Thank
my
you.
question is, so how do you deal with cases when your idea slightly matches with the idea of a current of an existing player in the market? So sometimes you come up with ideas, seeing the environment, you seek a problem, okay, and you find a solution. Okay, this is the solution. But when you do some research, you already find out, okay,
Yeah.
there is someone in the market who's before you, who started just 1 year or 1.5 year before you. So how do you deal with it? Do
Yeah, yeah,
you
we
come up
deal.
your idea and
This phenomenal question. In fact, it things that like these actually hound us as well. So I mean, I heard your question. Anything more than that, Surya, or
no.
should I?
So for instance, like what usually happens is when we or personally I come with idea. So when we discuss it with friends and do a bit of research, and when we find the first Google link to that company, which actually deals the same problem that we are trying to
Yeah,
focus on, we
yeah,
get okay. This is being dealt, and these guys are actually 1 year
yeah.
experience than us.
Very good
So how
point.
can we compete with them? So we
Very
drop
good
the
point.
ideas.
In fact, this is one of the reasons. Okay, one of the main reasons why many entrepreneurs don't take off. Okay, because they fear competition. Okay, the fear. Surya, I mean, I want to ask you one question before I start answering this. Do you think competition is healthy and is actually necessary?
Yes, kind of
And
because and the people who started first usually have this advantage, and within a startup there's huge competition right now. So yeah, I actually feel that that time gap uh, is a bit yeah, more competitive
okay,
at a startup level even. Yeah.
yeah. In fact, another way to look at it is that competition gives you a lot of scope as a startup. Okay. Now, there are many aspects that are there when it comes to business. Okay. And the aspects can range all the way from product development to delivery to launch to financial benefit to to the assistance that you require. Okay, there are many aspects to it. One is we are in an environment where a startup is actually something that is being encouraged in our country. In many countries, actually, startups are being encouraged quite well. If you look at IIT itself, or triple IT or IIT, there is a incubation center that gives you so many facilities that a large organization spends, unlimited amount of money to give that facility to their employees. Whereas an IIT gives you that incubation center at a throwaway price. And not just that, the kind of interaction that you will gain in these incubation centers, in these like T hubs or the incubation centers that you see, they actually are invaluable. Every discussion that you have will make you believe in two things, and it's up to you which thing you pick up. Okay, the first thing is, my God, my idea is already there. The second thing is, okay, so this idea is already seeing the light. Okay, so it's up to you how you look at it. Okay, if you see that the idea has already seen the light, that means there's so much merit to this idea. What happens to competition? And if you see from Stone Age till now, okay, humans have not created inventions every day. They have created one great invention, which is fire, then one great invention, which is wheel. Okay, like that, people started inventing. However, the greatest was not creating the wheel. The one who created the wheel didn't make money. The one who ensured that the wheel transpired and moved into a cycle made money. Then the one who actually made that cycle into a scooter made money. The scooter into a motorbike made money. So the people who made money were the ones who actually built on top of an idea. Okay, an accentuated idea. So if you look at the past, inventions never paid inventors. Okay, people who made money were innovators, people who built on top of inventions, people who built on top of innovations. So uh, and I'm telling you this really, there our idea of blogging online, creative writing online, story online, this is nothing new. Blogging is already existing. Okay, story writing is already existing. Similarly, journaling is already existing. But what was the innovation in this? The innovation is that it is becoming teen friendly. The innovation is that it is now looking at a little first mover kind of an advantage in terms of the team space. The innovation is that we are using multiple things on a one platform. So if I actually looked at blogging, saying that, okay, idea of putting blogging and journaling as an opportunity, I could have thought blogging and journaling are already there in the market. But no, the way we looked at it is that there is a collaborative platform that could work on accentuating the creative expression of teens, which is currently not accentuated to that level. Okay, so competition actually helps you. Inventions actually help you innovate. Innovations help you innovate further. So do not look at your idea being already there in the market. Look at what is the opportunity that the idea presents to you now. If you're going to go copying somebody and their idea, then I suggest you don't start. What I suggest is you have to have accentuated opportunity over and above an existing idea. So if the idea is there in the market, you have to see how your idea is slightly different or will benefit from that perspective. I hope, Surya, I've explained to you that you don't need to fear that there's an idea already there. And the market is so large, the market is so big, it can actually take 40, 50 people, like 40, 50 people with the same idea, by the way.
Okay, okay, yeah. I guess I got a different perspective now. Yeah, I can think of it.
Yeah, please go ahead and ask further. Don't worry about it. If you have another
Thank.
question on top of this, please do.
No, no. So it all boils down to, okay, you have when you just see it on your search, okay, this problem has been already solved, but the tricky part is you need to go deep into it and just see, okay, is there any sub problem, or is the same problem can be solved differently by us?
Yeah. Yes,
See,
yes. It can be.
also, yeah. So Surya, there's something called second mover's advantage. Sometimes it is better to be a second mover or even a late mover. So if somebody is already in the market with your own idea, they can be your case study. Their mistakes can be your, learnings. You don't have to burn your fingers and learn. So that is also a great advantage.
Yeah, mentors are there for that only. They've already burnt their hand, and they're going to give you that advice saying that what's worked, what's not worked, what's a better method. And mentors are there for that reason. Okay, so
True,
there
true.
are
Yes.
people who will be advisors, mentors, who have some kind of edge and some kind of experience and learning, who can help you with that with a shortcut to some extent.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, true.
Any further
Uh,
questions, people? Lohit, you wanted to say something earlier, he mentioned.
No, yeah, but thank you very much. It was a very interesting insight. Uh,
Thank you, Lohit.
yeah, it was very insightful. I mean, I could relate actually, although from academic perspective, I could relate most of the points with respect to research, like PhD itself. We can envision it as an entrepreneurial journey. uh, and I could see most of the points, Rangabhumi, Ranabhumi, and they are very relatable to our
Yeah.
academic research as well.
Yeah, actually, I was talking about engagement, and I realized that there is everybody, whether it's a student to a professor to a entrepreneur to an office space, an employee, everybody has the engagement degrees varying from active engagement to disengagement to moderate engagement to cynical, being cynical all the way. So it's all about us, how we see ourselves in the story of our life, in the journey of an organization, in the journey of our quest.
Yeah,
Whether we are going to be those active seekers, actively engaged people, uh, and whether we're going to be those moderately engaged people, and we choose to be, if we are choosing to be somewhere, it's better to be active over there than to be cynical over something. So if you in an organization I worked with, they called cynical people zombies. So they used to ask how many zombies are in my class or in my office. Okay, so that's how we looked at it, because people who are zombies are clueless, like they just walk around like clueless. So whether it's important that as a leader or as an entrepreneur, you understand that in your space itself, whether you are whether it's your team, whether it's your the organization that you work for, or whether it is a class you're in, you gauge what is the engagement quotient of people and the class as such. So the engagement quotient is a very important aspect. That's one of the key drivers for an organization moving forward. Okay, so while that engagement quotient is
yeah,
there, it is also, as I spoke about networking. A lot of people think networking is a bad word. And so I wanted to tell you all, as entrepreneurs, it's important that people, look at the positives of network. But before we reach to strategic network, people should start looking at what is, how do I network as an individual? Whether, I have certain lacunas, certain things that are not allowing me to network well. And what is that? Some people do not speak with women. Some people are shy. Some people fear speaking with seniors. Some people just take juniors for granted and don't network over there. Some people do not speak with outsiders of an organization. Some people do not speak with or do not network with people outside their unit or function or their class. So it's important that you realize how you network as an individual. I've just given you some examples. There are so many dimensions to us, and then how you could improve on that network. That means this is the way I network. I don't talk too much to women, so my strategy is to ensure that that is improved. That means I start making an effort, a plan to start networking with women. I start talking to seniors. That's a plan. So to understand your own networking, so as an entrepreneur, it's important that you analyze what is your networking skill? Because for entrepreneurship, networking is extremely important. Okay, it is important that you keep yourselves out there. Now, I am not saying you go and sell every minute or every day. I am saying you need to be there, available, visible. Okay, if that is the case, then in that case you need to understand what are those aspects about you as an entrepreneur which is going to influence your team, your organization, and the ecosystem you're in. Okay, a lot of entrepreneurs actually play on that. They actually change the entire ecosystem that they're in. Okay, they realize that I am in an ecosystem. Okay, for example, I am in a startup world which is into trading, and I realized that this is one, two, three opportunities I have in this I by doing that assessment of my of the of that trading community's network. So then these two, three people become leaders of that network by ensuring that they speak the right stuff and become influencers in that. So they build a strategic network for that ecosystem and start showing value to that ecosystem, saying that I can actually build this as a value to the ecosystem. And that's how they become leaders of that ecosystem. If you see Rotary Club, if you see many associations who are working together, they're the ones who actually start leading them are the ones who realize how the ecosystem can be strategically developed. Okay, so as an entrepreneur, you need to see even in the ecosystem within you are in, how you could be the influencer, how you could be the one who has actually understood what is the strategy that will build the different dimensions within that ecosystem. I hope I'm able to give clarity on how to strategically network as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Any questions over there? I think we're coming to an end, Lohit.
Yeah.
Last 5 minutes or so, right? So, any more things before you do a closing?
Okay, Yugandhar, I have a question which usually students ask. Okay,
Yeah.
so when you want to leap into this make a leap to this entrepreneurship, should we wait and get some work experience, or if you have an idea, just start your or work towards that direction? What is your advice? Because many people, especially you and the earlier one speaker, they had a lot of work experience. They were literally in their mid career, and then they took the decision. So what do you suggest for our students?
I have examples, Dr. Ganesh, who are just out of college and have done phenomenally well in the first 3 years of their thing. Okay, but then I don't really think that people have to be entrepreneurs with only experience. Unfortunately, that is the case with me. I took 20 years to take that call. And I actually took this call at the peak of my career. I was getting the highest, getting paid at my highest. I was, I was being ranked as a very influential leader in the organization I worked with. And at that stage, I took this decision to move out and start a startup. That is a risk I took. But there are people, and I look at it this way. When I look back, many times it tells me that I should have done this 10 years before. Okay, and I actually did this in the year 2015 also. I actually stopped working for a year, and I started consulting with a few companies. Okay, and then again I went back because maybe it's not time for me, and I did the consulting did well, and in fact I was very happy with that. But then you're so familiar with being an employee. I think it dragged me back into that game for another 3 years before I finally realized that no, this is not, this is what I want really, this is the true calling. Okay, so I really don't think that you need to really work your way in for 4 or 5 years and then take up entrepreneurship. There are a lot of people who have done very well, and I'll tell you some of the few things that I think people should have in their mind if they're starting afresh. Okay, having counsel is very important for a person who's afresh. Okay, becoming a first time entrepreneur, you have to have a counsel that you have identified. Okay, an assessment of your own self is very important. That means you understand how you are as an individual, what are the key drivers of my personality, and what are the aspects that I think I should develop on. Okay, the third aspect is the fact that to ensure, and I don't think you should start entrepreneurship unless until you are creatively confident. That means if you're not confident that you are creative enough, and if you are not confident that you can guide and direct people to succeed, then you are not ready. I'm not saying you shouldn't start. I'm saying you're not ready. Those are the aspects that you'll have to build and develop, satisfy, and then go ahead. So you have to believe that you are creatively confident. You are confident from a creative perspective. You are a leader with a vision and direction. And with these two aspects that have then developed, I think you're and a good counsel, it's very easily possible that you succeed as an entrepreneur. Obviously, the idea is necessary. You can't just get into a business because, and there are people who do that just by taking a franchisee of McDonald's or franchisee of Subway, they become entrepreneurs. That is not bad. That's also good. I mean, you can become an entrepreneur starting a Subway franchise. Okay, even in that space, if you are not creatively confident, okay, and you're not confident about leading people, okay, it'll be tough. Okay, so those are two basic fundamental requirements according to me, and you have to build that for yourself before you start jumping into entrepreneurship. Okay.
Sure.
Anything else? I hope Dr. Ganesh answered your.
Yes. Completely.
Anyone wants to add or suggest anything? We're just like last 2-3 minutes left. Actually, the time's over, but we can stretch for a couple of minutes.
I mean, interestingly, even from the last presentation we had last week and even this week, we can see that, or maybe draw a small conclusion that the most important aspect that drives entrepreneurship is having the positive attitude towards and confidence. And because in the last lecture also, the speaker was insisting more on the gut feeling. Of an entrepreneur, which drives you and helps you overcome roadblocks, find ways to overcome roadblocks, whatever. So being a technology institute, there are a lot of innovations happening, and there are a lot of novel discoveries or inventions happening. But in order to cross that barrier or scale up or to establish oneself as an entrepreneur, I think these criteria are very, very important to identify oneself in the market as a good player in the market in short span of time.
I would call gut feeling as decision making. I mean,
yeah.
So I mean, gut feeling somehow makes it very casual to me because because you're putting effort, time, and money. So yeah, I mean, it's just a sentence. It's just a statement.
Grit. He was mentioning about grit. You need to be, you need to be resilient and grateful.
Yes. Okay, so thank you very much, Dr.
Thanks.
Ganesh and Dr. Lohit and all the participants. I'm very happy that I got the opportunity to share my entrepreneurial journey and the journey of Winzard as well as Badi Soch. And I hope that there was at least a few takeaways for some of the people who attended, close to 30-40 people, and this recorded event would be published in IIT as well, right? So a lot more should benefit, I hope. And I wish everybody the best of luck and success, and entrepreneurship Zindabad. You guys will do well, and IIT entrepreneurship keeps dishing out more and more and developing more and more entrepreneurs.
So thanks a lot, Yugandhar, for your time and inputs. In fact, most of the things I can relate, and indirectly I reinforce them in my classroom also. Many of the things you mentioned about leadership, engagement, teamwork, trust. So I use it in my classroom. So thanks a lot. Looking forward to have you, face to face when we open our institute. Yeah.
Sure.
See you then.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye. Bye everybody. All the best.
Thanks, Lohit.
Thank you everyone. Thank you so much.
Lohit, the recording, we'll try to post it in our department website. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah. Shall I stop the recording for now?
Yeah, sure.